We're going to have the best Christmas ever as Bidenomics works, folks. And wouldn't you know it, inflation just hit 0%. That is, if we go by what the president has to say, but when the heck was the last time he did grocery shopping for himself? Did any of y'all catch President Biden at a local Walmart, maybe a Kroger's, maybe a Costco, Target? I mean, heck, I'd even settle if you saw him buy ice cream from a freaking 7-Eleven. Because saying that inflation's at 0% is like saying that the sea doesn't have water because you don't swim in it. Something doesn't exist for you because you can't feel it. And like, this isn't the first time that he's done this too, by the way.
Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%. Here's what that means. While the price of some things went up last month, the price of other things went down by the same amount. The result, zero inflation last month, but people are still hurting, but zero inflation last month. Economists look at a measure of inflation that ignores food and energy prices, and they call it core inflation. That's about the lowest amount in several months.
This was last year, and here's a recent tweet from his X account. I mean, and I love how he put the Bidenomics at the end there. It was like a mic drop, like, whoa, Bidenomics, right? And it's kind of funny too, because he got bodied by readers who added context to what he was saying. And even though it says 3.2% inflation here, I don't know. I don't think that's the right number. Tell you what, guys, you guys actually go to Walmart and Target, all these different random retailers, right? If you think the 3.2% is the correct number for inflation that you're feeling right now, comment 1. And if you think that inflation's higher than 3.2%, then comment 2. And if you think it's even lower than 3.2%, just go ahead and comment 0. This is by far the most intricate poll that I've done here, and I really do appreciate every one of you guys that takes part in these questions. And while you guys answer that, don't forget to hit the like button for the video and consider being a part of this amazing community by subscribing to the channel and turning on all notifications. Appreciate that, guys.
Well, the first real test for this holiday shopping season showing signs of a consumer strength. U.S. shoppers spent a record $12.4 billion online during Cyber Monday, with those purchases peaking between 10 and 11 p.m. Eastern, when consumers spent $15.7 million every minute. That's according to Adobe Analytics. With all of the big spending, we are breaking down the real winners and losers of the weekend with our very own Brooke DePalma. Brooke, I know I did my part. I went shopping online last night. What's the verdict here, and what does it ultimately mean for the peak of holiday shopping?
Good morning, Kiko. Guilty as charged as well. I certainly bulked up on my holiday shopping this past weekend. With that record, $12.4 billion spent, consumers certainly waited for those deals. They checked their list twice, and they showed up this past weekend. Now, some winners early on this past week was, of course, e-commerce giant Amazon. Now, Amazon said that this was their biggest shopping event of the year. They extended what some call the Cyber 5, the Cyber Weekend, to an 11-day shopping period from November 17th to November 27th. They said that customers around the globe bought $1 billion of items, more than $1 billion, 1 billion items on Amazon. They also said that customers on their site were able to save about 70% more than the same period last year. Another winner here is e-commerce player Shopify. Their online merchants brought in a record $9.3 billion over Black Friday to Cyber Monday. Once again, that's a coin term, Cyber Week, Cyber 5. They saw a 24% sales growth increase compared to 2022 being last year, as consumers really shift to digital spend and ultimately shop online, as we saw this past weekend. And as you mentioned, buy now, pay later, getting a big pop this year as consumers remain pinched. We're keeping a close eye as a firm. One of the winners of this past weekend, shares now higher once again. They were higher on Monday as well. In total, buy now, pay later, the usage of that hit an all-time high. We saw shoppers contribute $940 million in online spending using this sort of payment technology in order to make sure that they could spend this holiday season.
So we may be looking at the best, sarcastically, best Christmas ever. You see, there was a lot of recent sales, right? Hitting record numbers, smashing those figures out of the ballpark like nobody's business. But you knew it was coming, right? But at what costs? They're breaking records at what costs?
Of over $12 billion that were spent, $782 million would be using that buy now, pay later model. Joining us right now with more on the consumer landscape is Dominic Gabriel, senior analyst of equity research in fintech and specialty finance. And Dominic, thanks for being with us today. A lot of people using this buy now, pay later. You want to describe what the difference is between that and using a credit card?
Sure, and thanks so much for having me today. So one of the main differences between buy now, pay later and a credit card is that there really aren't any late fees associated with the buy now, pay later product in most instances. And it's a shorter term product, right? You can put balances on these buy now, pay later platforms and effectively pay them off in 4 installment payments that can be every week, every 2 weeks. It just depends how they're structured. Whereas, a credit card can be rolled over time. It can be left on there without going delinquent up to really 180 days to be charged off. And so it's really a function of how much interest do you want to pay. There's obviously no interest expense associated with buy now, pay later versus over 20%, even 30% for some of these store cards on credit cards now. And so people are making a real choice of how to avoid some of those higher interest payments on credit cards during this holiday season.
Of that $782 million, how much do you think will eventually go delinquent? I mean, I'm being serious here. Do you really think that people are thinking about interest rates when it comes to this payment model? And hitting almost $1 billion on just this payment scheme alone is like scoring 101 points in the NBA. Sure, you'll beat Wilt Chamberlain, but you got 101 points by shooting 200 free throws. It doesn't really count as breaking the record if you ask me. And another thing, they just keep talking about how Bidenomics works and all that, but these inflation numbers don't even include energy and food. Like, how are we really supposed to take this thing seriously if our number 1 and number 2 expenses have been cut from the data? It's like going out to buy shoes for a friend and not asking them their shoe size. You see what I mean? You could get the right brand, the right colors, heck, even get matching socks, but you're not going to get the right size to fit. And just to show you guys how awesome Christmas is going to be, Americans across the nations are reporting that their wages are not, and I repeat, are not keeping up with inflation. What? I thought inflation was at 0%. How can we not keep up with that? Spoiler alert, it's because they had no freaking business to say it was at 0% in the first place. But let's get into the numbers here. 60% of Americans are saying that they're lagging behind these horrible expenses. But how about those employees who got raises or maybe even have an above average pay job? What are they saying about it? Well, more than half, or 53% of these people, are saying that their earnings are losing ground to inflation, meaning that the gains that they're making, they're either leaving them to break even, or at worst, they're leaving them with almost nothing to take home. It's like driving a bicycle against a V8, you know? You can push that bicycle to its top speed, but there's no way you're going to catch up to that car. Which now brings me to my last point here, and with Christmas so close to us all, I want to know, do you think that this is going to be a good one for many Americans? Like a good Christmas? I know the holidays doesn't just mean that you should be out there spending your money to buy and hopefully receive gifts as well, to buy or cook a lot of food, to have reunions with friends, family, colleagues. I mean, I know it means much more than that, but all those other things make Christmas Christmas. So I want to hear from you guys, especially since you're already out doing your shopping by this time, more than likely, right? Do you see the same number of people going in and out of Walmart, Target, Best Buy? Are you seeing your neighbors receive Amazon packages every single day now? Or has Bidenomics opened the doors to probably one of the worst holidays of our lives? Let me know what you guys are thinking down below. And before I go, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. Keep safe, and I'll see you on the next video.